Hello, Tungsten Miner here. I thought this time I would talk about RFTools dimensions. So RFTools has a lot of stuff that works on RF, and it's kind of advanced endgamey sort of stuff. It includes this teleportation system that includes an advanced storage system. But the thing I want to talk about now is dimensions. Just like the Nether is a different dimension you can go to, and the End is a different dimension you can go to. And if you've got Galacticraft, the Moon, the Mars, all the other things are dimensions you can go to. So too, RFTools allows you to build dimensions. But as I said, builds. You can actually make your own. You can specify all the different pieces and parts and stuff that you want to about them, and make them however you want them to be. It just so happens I have made a dimension already, and I'm going to show you how it turned out. And then I'll come back and talk about how you make your dimensions. So first things first, how do you get there? Well, I've got a dialing device set up where I'm going to select my transmitter from home. My destination is the spawn at that dimension. Dial once and step into the beam. Okay. Pitch black inside a little house. Well, let's turn on some night vision and walk outside. You can see this is not your ordinary place. Obviously, Mushroom Island biomes are pretty rare in and of themselves, but here's one that seems to go on forever and ever in each direction for quite a ways, and has giant green oceans. Well, the green stuff, I can tell you, since I've been here before, is mutagen from Gendustry. And you might remember mutagen costs a yellorium ingot per bucket to make. So this is hundreds or thousands of buckets worth, hundreds or thousands of yellorium ingots worth of mutagen. Off in the distance here, we can see something else pretty interesting. This is a set of mountains made out of what looks to be giant flowers. So this is a garden biome, which has a nice witch waiting for me. I think we'll skip her. It also has this little hut. Let's see if I can sneak in there without getting blown up by a creeper. Maybe not. Dangerous territory. Just like any adventure, one needs to be ready. Here we go. Okay, having snuck inside very rapidly here, this is actually one I've already visited, and so I've taken the Dimlets out of the picture frames. I'll talk about Dimlets when I get back to my room there. And I've taken the Dimlets out of here, and obviously left behind some stuff that was lingering in my inventory. Now that I seem well and truly trapped in here, and I've shown the most interesting parts of this very fascinating dimension, I'm going to head back. Back again, safe and sound. You can see my charged porter is now pretty much depleted, so before I go on another trip I need to remember to charge that up again. That's pretty much what happens every time you go between dimensions. So be prepared for that, and be prepared to charge it again before you try and leave. So let's talk a bit about how that came to be. First, I'm going to go gather a few materials and be right back. Okay, back again. And the thing to do to start is to talk about this dimension inscriber. So you want to begin with one of these empty dimension tabs, which is a pretty simple recipe, paper and redstone, and you drop it in this dimension inscriber. And now, if I hit store right now, it would go ahead and make me a completely random dimension. And who knows what would be in that dimension. What I can do, though, to control what winds up happening is use what are called Dimlets. Now, generally what you'll find in the world, loot chests and so on, will be these unknown Dimlets. So if I grab one of these guys and toss it into a Dimlet researcher, which is just another machine you can make, requires power, but not a lot. I throw it in here, it's going to think for a bit, and then it's going to toss out one of these Dimlets. Effect Wither 3. Yikes. Some of them are nice and some of them are definitely not nice, but they have their advantages, because one of the things you'll notice is that there's a create cost, a maintain cost, and a tick cost. So let's take a look at some other dimensions that are a little bit more friendly and see what some of these do. Lots of different dimensions, or dimlets rather, and you can kind of get a sense for what sorts of things are possible, or what sorts of things can be specified, just by looking at the ones that are in here. So starting from the top, controllers allow you to control which biomes are there. Some of them, like dry, will make the selection based upon some of the characteristics of the biomes. Some of them, like filtered, allow you to actually specify for yourself which ones you want. Controller single allows you to say just this particular biome. Digit allows you to differentiate between different dimensions. So a dimension is uniquely identified by what dimlets are used to make it. And this allows you to use the same set of dimlets and kind of roll the dice again, because any attributes you don't specify with a dimlet get randomly selected for you. So if you don't say anything about the moon, for example, RFTools is going to pick some characteristics about the moon. Maybe there's 3 of them and they're, red, green, and blue, and they move around at twice the speed of the sun, and who knows what else, right? So if you use the same dimlets and then make a new dimension with it, you're going to wind up with exactly the same dimension, unless you use some digits to differentiate. Effect, all these different effects, these make these different things happen, or makes them true in your world. Some of them are not so nice, like mining fatigue, and some of them are very, very nice, like night vision and flight. But it all comes with a cost. So if we, for example, look down here and say feature canyons as this top one, and I hover my mouse over it, you see it's got these 3 characteristics. Create cost, 100 RF per tick, maintain cost, 1 RF per tick, and tick cost, 1 ticks. What this means is it has to do with the process of creating and then maintaining the dimension. Creating the dimension means when you put your dimlets in here and hit store, you're now going to get an empty, but not empty anymore. You're going to get a realized dimension tab, which has all of those dimlets stored in it. You can then take that and bring it over to the dimension builder and drop it inside. So here's one that I've already put together with a couple of different dimlets. And you can see I've got 1 effect dimlet, 1 special dimlet, 1 controller, 1 terrain, and a couple of others to specify different things. So that's what I've got in there, and its maintenance cost is 51 RF per tick, but specified was 21. So I didn't actually put something in for all of the different possible things, and so RFTools picked a bunch for me. The choices RFTools made winds up adding 30 RF per tick to the cost. Fortunately, this machine is powered by my rather extensive power system in this house, so I'm not too worried about running out of power, which is good, because if you are in a dimension and it runs out of power, the dimension and everything in it, including you, ceases to exist. So you really, really don't want to be in an underpowered dimension. It's very, very dangerous, because of course you cannot go back to get your stuff again without just getting killed instantly. That's actually not entirely true, but I'll get to that in a little while. Suffice to say, it's very dangerous. Don't do that. This dimension now is fully realized, but it takes a while. So this thing starts off as an empty globe and then works its way up. So why don't we just make a random dimension, and I'm just going to grab a digit that I've got a bunch of those, and I've got a bunch of those. So we'll then bring these over to the dimension inscriber and toss in a 4 and toss in a 3 and hit store. So now this is dimension digits 43. Creation cost is going to be 2,000 RF per tick over the cost of 100 ticks. So it'll take 5 seconds to create this thing, and it will cost 10 RF per tick to maintain. So not too bad. I'm now going to go to my dimension builder. I'm going to take this one out. And you notice it still has power, and it will maintain power for quite a while. It's got 40 million RF in there. So I'm just going to tuck him away someplace safe. That dimension still exists, and if I would teleported to it, I'd be safe for, well, however long it takes to run through 40 million RF at 51 RF per tick. So probably quite a while. But we want to go visit this new one. So I'm going to toss this guy in here. And as you can see, over the course of 5 seconds, which is not very long, it has fully realized this dimension. And we can see it's rapidly charging up the dimension. Now you notice the cost has changed. When we first looked at this, it said it was going to cost 10 RF per tick. And here it is with a maintenance cost of 230 RF per tick. Well, that's because we didn't really specify very much. And so the estimate of 10 RF per tick was wrong. Not surprising. Fortunately, it's not a whole lot higher, or I'd have to yank this thing out right away before it drains all my batteries dry. Okay, so we're going to go take our chances and see what we got, right? Well, let's make sure we're ready. I have got weapons. I have got armor. I have got food. I've got a sleeping bag. And I have a charged porter, but you'll notice this charged porter has recently been used and is almost out of energy. That is not enough energy to make a trip between dimensions. So if I go, I'm there to stay. Not a great plan. I'm going to go charge this up and be right back. Okay, now I am fully charged and ready to go. Now, I have no idea what to expect. I have never been to this dimension. I couldn't possibly have ever been to this dimension. I know it's dimension number 8, but that's kind of all I know. So I'm going to turn on hover. I'm going to turn on my night vision. I've got my best armor on. I've got, let's see, I'm going to have a little snack here, get my hunger meter full, and I'm going to give my health a chance to tick up a few notches here. Because I might get attacked as soon as I land. No way to know. Kind of like going to the Nether for the first time. Here we go. Okay. Don't need to be hovering. Got some silver right in front of me. Whoa. Oh my god. I've got... I'm in a silver dimension. This dimension is, oh my god, entirely silver ore. Huh. Okay, 30 RF per tick. That seems a little low at this point. Wow. Okay, crazy, crazy mountains all around. This looks like a checkerboard dimension or something like it. Let's try flying around a bit and see what else we can find here. Raining, and there's some cows. This terrain is higher and very mountainous. Alright, looks like mesa-ish terrain, if not actual biomes. Okay, I'm getting into a desert biome made completely out of silver with no sand. There's a meadow's hive. Here's some mountains built right up to the world's top. Looks like the entire world is made out of silver ore. Oh, and here's a RFTools house. Let's go visit this guy, see what we find. Alright, I always turn the lights on. We've got some Dimlets in here. Rainforest, material netherrack, some unknown Dimlets. And we've got a couple of Dimlets on the wall here. Let's see here, sky yellow color. What else do we got? Coral reef Dimlet. Feature none. Okay, fine, great. That's interesting. Come out here again. Wow. Yeah, so this is a pretty weird dimension. I forgot to mark my origin on the map. Fortunately, I didn't go too far. Some very strange kind of boundaries here between areas. A lot of raw rock, which of course looks even more kind of bizarre with the underground biomes construct stuff turned on. Oh, we've got some pigs here. That's interesting. Yeah, the world was made entirely out of silver ore. That is tremendous. Okay, well, I'm gonna gather some silver, I guess, and head back home because there's not much else to do here. You know, some dimensions are a lot more interesting than others. Some are a lot more profitable than others. This one goes, I guess, under the profitable but not terribly interesting category. So I'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, I have just teleported back again from dimension number 8, and I picked up a little bit of silver while I was there. I'm not sure what other use that dimension could possibly be, except to make lots of silver. So I don't know if I'm going to hang on to it at all, but I figure I'm going to get rid of this silver, and we can try again. We'll just make another random dimension and see what that does. So I'll be right back. Okay, I've gotten rid of the silver, so let's take a look here. We've got this dimension. It's pulling down 230 RF per tick, which is probably, now not surprising because we saw all that silver ore all over the place. And including ores is one of the more expensive things you can do. Having seen the world, I'm actually kind of shocked that it's so little. I would have expected thousands of RF per tick. That's what most of them wind up being. Maybe they're cheaper when they're random. I'm not quite sure why. Anyway, I'm going to take this world out. It's still got power, but you can see it's pretty rapidly chewing through that power, and it will eventually be all gone. I'm going to take the dimension, though, and toss it over here. Say extract. So now I've got those two dimlets back again, and the dimension tab is empty. The dimension still exists. So if I were to store this again, I'd get that same dimension back again. Even if I were to take these dimlets away and use two different dimlets to recreate the dimension 4-3, I would get back to the same dimension ID 8 that I was at before. So dimensions never go away once you create them. They are always present. Now, we found a bunch of dimlets when we went. So if I were to go and change things around a bit, let's see, none of these are particularly going to be useful. But what I could do, for example, is go grab digit number 8, and let's use that. So I'm going to toss some of these into there, and I'm going to toss some of these over here, just kind of by way of clearing out my inventory here. And we'll throw in digit number 8. So now this is going to be dimension 438, and store. Now, dimension ID 9 is going to be this one, digits 438. And I can name it if I want, right? So dimension 438. Extract, there it is. Store, get the same one back again. It's now got a name. So I'm going to go recharge that charged porter, and we'll try this one out. All right, let's see here. The dimension is gaining power pretty rapidly. The maintenance cost is actually 10 RF per tick. It's not one of these where things got more expensive unexpectedly, which is kind of good and bad, right? Expensive features tend to be interesting features. So now let's go from home to this dimension 438. And this is kind of the utility of naming the dimensions. It shows up over here. Dial once. Double check my equipment every single time. Armor is reasonably charged. Weapons ready. Tools ready. I've got food in my lunchbox. Just making sure. Yep. Food in the lunchbox. And I've got a charged porter ready to go. Engines on. Hover on. Night vision on. Let's go. All right, it is dark. It is a forest. My map says this is a Sacred Springs biome. Okay, yeah, so there's a Sacred Springs tree. Okay. The world is still loading. This often takes a little while. Huh, some interesting sheer cliff faces there. So I'm kind of in like a bowl or depression here in between these cliffs, which are pretty outrageous, but still look like Sacred Springs biomes, at least judging from the leaves here. Let's see what happens as we go further up. Yeah. Okay, so I'm underground, that's why it's so dim. Wow. This world is like super tall. Okay. So this is like the crazy high altitude version of a Sacred Springs biome. Oh, now I'm in a Rainforest biome, but way above the cloud level. Alright, we've got a nice house here, which may soon be overrun by lava. That would be inconvenient. We can grab our Dimlets here, turn on the lights, grab some more Dimlets. So mob default Dimlet, that'll give us the normal sorts of mobs in the world. Checkerboard Dimlet, terrain islands, that's going to give us lots of different islands. Sky body none, so no celestial bodies at all, and lots of unknown Dimlets. Apart from that, though, this appears to be kind of a, I don't know, wet forested sort of biome, populated area. It's curious that this has this kind of steep border here. I wonder if that's part of the spawn area always is a little bit more moderate in its terrain. So there's another house over here. Yeah, needless to say, it's a great idea to have a jetpack when you go exploring these areas. We haven't run into one yet, but there are some terrain generation styles, which are skyblock worlds. And getting from one sky island to the next can be very challenging if you don't have some means of flying. Oh, there's some iron, that's handy. Okay, this looks like a jungle biome, at least I'm seeing ocelots down there. Okay, there is a sun in this world, that's not necessarily always true. And here it comes, that's nice. Okay, so it looks like we've gotten to some sort of extreme elevation savanna biome. Alright, this is, what is it? Crag biome. This is all crag rock. There's the moon down there. Yeah, pretty wild. This one actually might bear some exploring. There's definitely some interesting features to it. And nestled away in these cliffs are some of these RFTools houses, or dimensional houses, or whatever you want to call them. So it's no surprise seeing how things are progressing here, right? That you can quickly get a whole lot of Dimlets as you're just doing a little bit of exploring around in some of these RFTools dimensions. Lead ore. Okay, so here's a good example. Crate cost here is 8,000 RF per tick, which means for the 400 ticks that this thing adds, plus however many ticks the other Dimlets add, it's going to cost 8,000 RF per tick to try and generate this world. Which of course means if you're not supplying that much power, and who's got 8,000 RF per tick around, it's going to take longer and longer and longer, because you won't get 20 ticks per second. You'll get however many ticks per second your power supply actually allows. And then the maintenance cost is 1,800 RF per tick, which means if you're not providing at least that much power, then the dimension is constantly losing power. And if you're wandering around in that dimension, you might get trapped there when there's no power in the dimension. So it's kind of a big deal when you look at that realized dimension tab, that you really want to make sure you're able to supply the power that that thing requires. And you're not going to get yourself into a dangerous situation. This one, fortunately, didn't have that high of a demand. One thing I'm kind of curious about is why this spawn area is so much lower than the rest of all the cliffs all around. So everything else we've seen is really super high, but not this area. Sheep, okay, that's what we got there. Ah, family of creepers, lovely. These sacred oak trees are kind of cool. Enormous. I've actually gone to the trouble once of chopping one down and wound up with so much wood that I didn't know what to do with it all. I've still got like a whole chest full of it. Well, I think that's it for this video. We talked about how to make dimensions, how to use Dimlets to influence what you're going to get. Didn't really talk about that very much, actually, so maybe there's a future video in dimension crafting. But we've got the basic mechanics down, right? You put Dimlets into a dimensional tab, you run that through your dimension inscriber to be able to get an actualized dimension. You throw that in the dimension builder machine, which provides it power, and then you use your teleporter to teleport to the matter receiver, which will be added by default to each new dimension that gets created. Once you're there, have fun, explore around, be safe. Make sure to bring your charged porter so you can get home again is all. So if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to see when the next video comes out, hit subscribe, and I will talk to you later.